Peter.
Yari, Stilo, what are
What
you
are you
dancing
dancing
to
today?
today? I
Um,
am. Are you lost in dance?
Almost.
It's an
Uh,
interesting question, no? Like, ah, interruption, breaking patterns, getting lost in dance. I had to wonder, is this the best way to get lost in dance?
hmm, yeah. By not dancing patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. The relation between patterns and forms,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
and
I like that.
rhythms also. I mean, I think maybe rhythms patterns is in between forms or rhythms, right? And it's kind of using both.
Yeah. Yeah. Recognition, right? Patterns of recognition, things that occur in the sort of recognizable space. Exactly. Like
Mm.
if it can be named, if it can be felt, maybe as a thing, like a shape or a form or a rhythm. Excuse me.
It made me think this period we were all busy with uh, finding finding organized chaos. I don't know if but I was in these places where for very long everybody was busy with this.
Tell me more. Yeah. What do you mean?
Yeah, we were busy in trying to find organized chaos, chaos that would feel like a look like a chaos, but actually was actually organized.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There
yeah,
was
yeah,
choreographed, maybe it was made sometimes where it was more toward like making space for this to happen.
yeah.
Other time more like even a bit choreographed, or I don't know, in some moments choreographed, or someone was choreographed, other people were not.
Mm.
I'm thinking about group, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, there's something about getting lost in the chaos, right? This idea of getting lost in the dance, being lost in the sort of absence of structure. But like you say, how do we organize that? That was the biggest question. Like, how does it manifest or find form? I mean, it's also democratic as well, right? What is the democracy of it? How do you allow for um, chaos to be organized? Free, maybe. How do you allow freedom to be created, provided, providing space?
But it made me think about the gaze of the audience and how much this gaze is toward finding patterns or recognize something, uh, but also the excitement of getting lost.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, and also, I don't know why also the agency of that, it's because the patterns produce excitement, maybe it follow desires, but then can get also boring or can get also repetition. You know what I mean? Like sometimes repetition produce a sort of lost
Right.
of what it is, and re-meaning, giving new meaning to the moon, to the dance.
Yeah, right. There's an economy of originality, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I'm connecting it also to contemporary dance in the episode this week. Like, what what is this pattern recognition and breaking or interrupting of those patterns? Um, and yeah, is it in the name or serving this idea or this ideal of originality, of breaking form and finding new form, um, contesting form, and of course, this sort of breaking of form sort of produces a form in itself, right? Like it starts to have an aesthetic of mm, never being specific, perhaps, or but it's specific in its inspecificity, or
Yeah.
it's attempt to be chaotic, or it's attempt to be unspecific, unreadable.
Oh, yes, unreadable. Yeah, we
Mm,
are speaking about that. Be
mm.
unreadable, definitely.
Yeah, exactly,
Or
like you were
or
saying with the audience.
right. But I'm also thinking, I'm so sorry, I'm staying with the audience, but I'm also thinking very often when choreography tends, and what I mean hard choreography, the one we learn steps and
Yeah, 5, 6 of
uh,
them.
exactly. We tend to direct the gaze of the audience by choreograph in a
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
But or direct in a space or direct in something like maybe a certain kind of emotion narratives. I don't know, whatever that dramaturgy.
Yeah, yeah,
And what does it mean when the audience can actually or feel empowered to watch wherever they want and to follow what they want?
yeah.
And that empowered also means that they feel entitled and that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, that, oh yeah, that's the good things I'm doing. It's good what I'm doing this. It's good I decide where to watch.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, it's not like I'm trying to watch where people told me to watch. Oh, I'm lost. Where do people want me to watch?
Yes, yes. Yeah, or pay attention, right?
Right.
In what way? Where should my focus go? Where should my mm, gaze land? No, exactly. And yeah, I mean, I think like for me, this sort of sense of readability is almost a desire for the audience to sense this similar condition that maybe we are aiming for with the dancers, where they are lost, but where the audience is also lost, where they are having to uh, engage maybe with the dancing, with their expectation, with their experiencing of dance through witnessing or being with in a way which it provides this sort of limitless, freedom-like sort of condition where you lose tangibility. Because, I mean, ultimately, then I'm like, why is this interesting to us? We just had our workshop, or our meetup, I should say, in Stockholm, and one of the questions raised was like um, memory, right? Uh, the body's memory versus the sort of articulated memory, and
Mm.
I think there was a little bit of friction because there was this idea that the the body has a memory and it clearly has an intention with that memory, like not to hurt itself or to move for comfort maybe, or to move for adrenaline, or a move for food, you know. I think food was the example given. And then like uh exactly like this, uh, is there an interest in looking beyond this recognizable, memorable, intentional space of the body? Because I feel like in contemporary dance there is, and I know from experience there's also something I was very interested in, and it was something that was very inspiring when I felt it, when I felt like I was experiencing that or was attending these moments where I was lost, like maybe the thinking, the known aspect of myself was lost. But do you feel like you've experienced that in witnessing as an audience? Um, just to maybe comment on this, like audience perspective, the readability of this condition. Does it work for
Hmm.
you, or do you always have that sense of, I wish I was dancing?
Right. Unfortunately, I have the feeling that as an audience, I'm looking for patterns all the time.
Mm,
I have the feeling there is something like, oh yeah, what is this system? Aha.
hmm
And maybe it's not logical, but it's like unsure me. I don't, I want to be lost,
yeah,
or I want to go so much into the patterns, into the things to get lost.
yeah,
Um, Thinking about these feelings of yeah, the repetition and how that can bring you into new state of experience.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Maybe I do think so. It's maybe this correlation almost if patterns is inside being it's also a door to be lost, to get
hmm
lost.
Yeah, right, right.
Because I mean, inevitably, if the patterns, if we say that rhythm and stays, after a while, it's your experience that change.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Um, but it's interesting when you say this sort of um, looking for patterns as a witness, right? As an audience, like trying to find some sort of sense, meaning, and but maybe it doesn't have to be as concrete as that, or like maybe there's a distinction to be made between finding meaning and finding patterns, right? Like
Mm,
finding patterns is less less organized in terms of like speech and recognition words, whereas finding patterns is more felt, perhaps something that can be returned to and experienced without language. I mean, like a rhythm, a it doesn't need a word to name it for it to be felt and recognized as a pattern, recognized as such, right? I assume, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah, there's something uh, like in the simplicity of it, and then actually, isn't it all then about establishing something or using an established pattern, rhythm, music, representation, form, style, uh, like using that or establishing it and then breaking it, playing with like the expectation, and there's an excitement in, yeah, maybe it's not getting lost, in fact, but in fact, breaking that expectation in order to sort of produce suspension or um, a new investment in attention. So
Okay.
you attend because you recognize, and then the recognition gets broken, and then your attention becomes stronger. Sorry.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree. That's why it feels to me very often the first part of a performance, it's really a moment where you kind of
Mm,
establish some sort of specific rhythms or specific patterns, specific way of looking at what you're looking. Almost like because every performance is difficult, really, which values to understand already before, which value you are actually busy with.
yeah,
Then in the moment you're there, you have to first basically make, okay, that's the tool kit. Okay,
yeah,
now we go in.
yeah,
And then you
yeah.
can go in with a lot of, a lot, because once the toolkit is there established,
Mm.
yeah.
And I mean, some toolkits are established way prior, right? They're established culturally. So like that's where
Yeah.
style really functions. Like,
Okay.
okay, what is the
Yeah.
style you're working with, and then or the aesthetic, and then how does that aesthetic regime get challenged
Yeah.
and worked with within this context? And the break doesn't have to be massive, right? Like this idea that it has to be so radical, it's you lose contact. It can be really tentative and moving. But what is radicality around those breaks or that? Is it a dramaturgical condition of dancing as well? Is it worth thinking of it in that form of establishing and then having an arc, having a break? I mean, but did you know, in the exercise it asks what patterns could you not interrupt? Which ones kept on returning? Did you find any? I can say what
It
I
was a
found.
bit it was a bit hard because I
Yeah.
felt like, oh, walking is the partner's boss. I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, it's walking. I mean, it's like, you know what I mean? Of course,
Hmm.
then I could just fall on the floor. But there was something about until I stayed up on my legs that it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's the pattern. It's walking.
Or staying vertical. I mean, actually, I also found the thing, and I was like, well, I know I can break that pattern of like verticality. I can work with floor work or something,
Yeah.
and I can remain in floor work as well. Like insist on not establishing any structure which would allow me to stand up. But I also got caught in like space. You were talking a lot about visuals in earlier like reflections we've had, and like the use of space as like a condition through which I'm like operating. That kept on um, arising for me, and then
Yeah.
also like moving around my own body, because I was sort of like attempting to break space and finding myself, like uh, okay, well now I'm with the space of the body, sort of moving around like my own sense of center or orientation. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like the and I wondered if like with the walking or the space and things, actually, if there's a want, I don't want to move away from that pattern. Like I don't, I probably possibly could, like I could lie down on the grass. Yeah, I didn't say where I am today. I'm at my mom's garden. So, but I didn't want to like lie down on the grass and get wet or muddy or itchy. Sorry. So there's like, I wonder, I wonder if with some patterns there's a want, like I know I keep going back to this very self-prophesizing exercise of don't dance, but even within the just the consideration and the sort of like accepting of that contract, like this is dance or we're going to dance. Like, am I not uh am I not wanting in some part to be dancing or to be in dance? Uh like there's yeah, I don't know. I had to think of that. Like, are these patterns somehow also things we don't want to get rid of? Like we don't want to get rid of our standing or like our protection for stabilizing the body or
Yeah. I mean, it takes also energy. There is something about I realize by getting older I forget to try to also go against what my body sometimes. And what
mm,
I mean against, I really like the comfort, what is called comfort zone, but it's
yeah.
also where you actually get the sometimes the most, no? And I'm thinking about, like, for example, very stupid, like getting very energetic. you know, getting very flat body, the blood floating, like getting
Mm-hmm.
sweating. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's hard
Mm.
um,
Yeah,
to really do this, like to really go for that. Sometimes no, that's the aim, it's fine. But
yeah, yeah,
other, so
yeah. So there's like a desire there, right? I want like
yeah,
can and I think there's something really strong in dance because I also had the thing of like one of my initial questions was like, do I have to move all the time like to do this exercise? Like, is movement like a necessity? And it kind of was, like in the formulation of how I formulated the first task, I say like start moving and then interrupt anything that emerges like a pattern or is recognizable. And and just moving sometimes is like, oh God, I'm too tired.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
not today, not today, my legs hurt. Or, oh, it's gonna be tiring and stuff. And yet there's a necessity to sort of move past that in order to get to these places where we find reward. And I think I don't know if we spoke about it when we were together, like it at Weld, but like this question of motivation, I find so like it keeps returning to me in some way of like, how do we motivate ourselves to dance? Like what is necessary to give ourselves the motivation to actually do it and to move. And there's a sort of battle that goes on between desire and um, encouraging oneself to move past the sort of the comfort of not doing maybe or not dancing or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's almost like there's a desire sometimes to be moved. Like, "Oh, I just want to get to the moment when I'm dancing, when I'm lost. I don't want to do the work to to get there. Like, I don't want to have to put too much energy in."
Yeah. The, I think there's something about you want to get where you need to be
Mm,
without by using the least energy possible
hmm
sometimes.
mm,
And I'm also thinking that, it's interesting because without losing, without getting lost in relation to your score, that is somehow about getting lost.
mm.
No, also it's about like, oh, not recognize, okay, recognize this, okay, no, be somewhere else. So it's also interesting that sometimes if the goal is beyond what we have in this moment, the desires, it could be
Right.
also a good engine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I keep coming back to this podcast because a big question for me is like, why are we doing this? Like, why, why are me and you meeting every week? Like, it's a lot of work, and um, I have these moments of doubt. Like, who's it for? Like, this isn't the way you operate yourself within the profession of dance. You need to establish yourself with the correct theatre house and production house and houses and produce work in the sort of way that is recognizable and stuff. But uh, we meet and it generates so much passion and so much energy for me. And there's something in that mere um, generativity. And maybe that is also part of this lostness. Like it's generative, it generates energy, it produces a sort of motivation, it encourages attention to continue and to be furthered. I mean, they are the best moments of witnessing of being an audience are like when you don't want it to end, you just want it to go on and on and on. And I definitely feel that in these like contacts. And I think of the emergence of dance and how I imagine it just formed by people being together and recognizing patterns and interrupting patterns and
Right.
playing with patterns. And the generativity that was formed from those encounters that we started to establish as this is dance, um, dancing, and the rhythms that occurred from it, the music making, the sound making that sort of would have emerged from this encounter with recognition and the excitement and generativity that sort of forms through recognizing and seeing the potential for increased direction and places to go. Uh, it's kind of, I don't know, like speaking like this makes me find the idea of working in dance bizarre. Like, are we like, does it make sense to name it as such and then to sort of go and work there? I don't know what I'm saying now, but like this sort of desire, like, but we're dancing. Like, isn't that the amazing thing? Not the established, like the working for a genre or place. Isn't the thing actually the encounter and the people making? Doesn't by working for dance somehow does divert our attention away from the beauty, the magic that sort of forms through gathering. And maybe that's why stage and performance are so like central still in dance and so exciting for us, right, in our lives, because it's become a place where gathering can happen even if it's
Yeah.
tainted by the economic necessity for us to do it as a profession, to try and make a living, to or it's tainted by the fact that then the audience becomes this divorced um, figure from the commons that is this what dance could be, this like this gathering space. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because that is such a meeting place, like the
Mm,
stage and the theater. It's so powerful. At the same time, the ethics around that are purely machinery
mm,
oriented, where
mm.
actually the process is really not the point.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh,
Exactly. This is
wow.
why basic income just feels like such a like, oh, let's do it. Like it's well, why
Yeah,
wouldn't we do it? We would dance more, or like we
yeah,
would make more, we'd find more
and
art,
we
we'd have more
totally,
creatively, we'd gather more because we
yeah,
wouldn't have the burden of professionalizing what we do as something separate from life. And it would become life, like there would be this um, greater relationality between living and gathering and creativity or art production. Hey, shall we dance?
yeah. Sure, yeah, let's do it.
It's such a pleasure, Yari. Um, do you have any final words before we find some patterns
No,
together?
but I wish to have a final movement, something that could put the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, like this is our
Something
this
that,
is the
yeah,
conclusion.
yeah,
Maybe you want that uh the break of the pattern, you know, to establish a pattern and break it.
hmm, right. Or maybe I want to use that patterns to be lost in patterns. You tried that before, I saw you.
Yeah. Today, you mean? Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I started doing Linda Valdau's score, how I
ah,
understand it. Repetition. maybe just one last thing. Makes me think of why the separation between choreography and improvisation is such a crime, because they are both trying to serve the same God, the God of gathering and being inspired, finding generativity, if that's the thing. I love to dance with you, Yari.
I also love to dance with you.